In this video I'm going to talk about 11 common mistakes everybody makes when they first start mixing. Number one is buying too many plugins. We've all done it. It's so tempting, isn't it? Shiny object syndrome and all that. You start mixing, you think, oh, I need to spend like 300 quid on a bundle. You get a bundle, sound toys maybe, and then you don't know how to use it. You just keep sticking them on everything. It sounds shit because you don't know what you're doing. So the main thing here is just start with Logic or whatever DAW you're using. Plenty of plugins in there to get good at mixing. Don't buy too many plugins is number one. Number two is quite similar. A lot of people just buy a mixing course and they won't even finish it. So you'll buy a mixing course and you'll think, oh yeah, I'm better now because I've got that knowledge to hand. But unless you learn it and use it, it hasn't made any difference. You're just spending money again. So I'm saying, yeah, definitely buy a course, but like break it down. Do a little bit each day and then take what you've learned and put it into your computer and try it out. No point just watching a course and not getting anything out. You think you've learned stuff, but unless you do it, doing is learning, isn't it? So unless you do it, you haven't learned anything. Mistake number three is add an EQ and compression to every single track. That's usually completely unnecessary. You can all send them to a group and then compress that. Sometimes stuff even sounds great, especially if you're using samples from Splice or something like that. They've already been compressed and EQ'd. So chances are you'll be making them worse. Don't just open up your session and reach for an EQ and a compressor and bang it on every single track. Probably ruining your mix. Number four, this is a big one. Not spending enough time on your levels, which is called the static mix. So when you open up your session, you don't want to put any effects on anything. You just want to work on the levels and the panning. Spend a lot of time on your static mix. I'll be doing a video on the static mix very soon, so if you don't want to miss that, feel free to subscribe. But yeah, levels are so important. Even if something's sounding wrong, it's potentially too loud. Like a lot of times if a track's too bassy, you turn the bass down, problem fixed. You don't even need to EQ it. So it's the first stage of a mix anyway, static mix, to make sure you spend a lot of time getting your levels right and your panning. Make your mix sound as good as you can without any plugins. That's what a static mix is. Let's go check out this little house. See who's living in here. So cool, isn't it? Number five, see this all the time. Too much reverb. And the reason, I think, it sounds so cool. You know, you bang a load of reverb on, it sounds great. But in the mix, it just makes it sound muddy and washy, and just don't overuse your reverbs. Put the amount you think you like on it, and then turn it down. That's a good starting point. When you get a bit more advanced, you can start sending your reverb, delay, all the time-based effects to a bus, and then just send a little bit of your track to the bus. But if you're just starting out, don't worry about that just yet. Just put it on your track, but just use a tiny amount of reverb, tiny amount of delay. Number eight is overthinking. Once you've done a mix and you're just over-analysing it and over-analysing it, usually you make it worse. If you do a mix and make a bounce, say that's mix one, and then you do another 6 mixes, bounce one's probably going to be the best, or maybe bounce two. But yeah, if it sounds good, it is good. Once you've got a good mix, probably done. Stop tweaking things, because usually you make it worse. This is a massive one. Get it right at the source, which means if you're recording your own music, take extra time to get a perfect vocal take, great performance. If you're recording acoustic guitars, make sure you've got the mics in the right place. If you're doing drums, just get a great take. It's all about great takes and great recording quality. If you get those things right, your mix will be well easy. And that includes like investing in a decent microphone, good interface, and then just a bit of knowledge, like learning how to record yourself at a high quality. You know, just take the time to get a bit better at that stage. Don't ever think you can fix anything in the mix. Like these days you can fix a lot, but this always comes out better if you don't have to. Make sure you can make sure your singer's in tune, make sure your drummer's in time, make sure all the guitars are in tune. Just double check everything and then check it again and then record, get a good take. And if you're mixing it yourself, it'll make it so much easier on yourself. Or if you're sending it to a mix engineer, he'll thank you for it. Because you can't beat good tracks, mate. This is another big one, mixing in solo. We've all done this. You grab your mix and then you solo the kick drum and you spend half an hour making it nice and tight and punchy. And then you do the same with the snare drum, make it slam in. And then you do the same with the guitar, get it beautiful, reverby, crispy clean. And then after about 5 hours, put it all back in. Sounds like an absolute mess. Just don't mix in solo. Big, big mistake. Because nobody's ever going to hear those tracks in solo. You get the best sounding kick drum, but no one's ever going to hear it, are they? They're going to hear it in the mix and how it fits in with everything else. Same with every other instrument. Probably one of the biggest beginner's mistakes you can do, that mixing solo. I've done it, I remember doing it, you know, but yeah, just mix as a whole. Get your track up and get your kick drum sounding good in the mix, get your vocal sounding good in the mix, get it sitting nicely together, because that's the whole point. That's why it's called mixing. You mix it all together as a nice end product. We don't want great sounding multi-tracks and a shit mix. Here's one we're all guilty of these days, because plugins look so beautiful and pretty. We're all just following the bright lights, man. You gotta use your ears. You don't want to tweak your mix too much to make it look good on the plugin. Get the lights in a nice order or whatever. You gotta use your ears and make sure you're not getting distracted by your eyes. A good way to do that is to turn off any graphic equalizers you've got on your plugins, or just kind of, if you've got a mixing desk, great, just use that instead of mixing on your screen all the time. Here's one I see all the time, man. People expect to make a great mix before they've even organised or labelled the sessions. You know, put anything in groups. I usually like the drums, the vocals, the bass, the guitars, BVs, percussion, all that in an order. And I'll colour them, put little icons, so if there's a snare drum, I'll put a little snare drum, so I know exactly where everything is. So yeah, you've got to organise your tracks. So many people just send me a Logic session that's an absolute mess, and they're like, oh, I can't mix it. You know, I'm not surprised, mate. It's an absolute wreck. I haven't labelled anything, it's just all of their samples from Splice is just 004, 007. Let's go check this out and then I'll tell you number 11. So yeah, number 11, simple one, but you'd be surprised how many people forget, is make sure you compare your mix on different devices. So many different ways people listen to music these days. And done older. So many people listen to music different ways these days. You've got iPod speakers, laptop speakers, iPhone speaker, whatever. Just make sure you check it on headphones, laptops, good speakers obviously, studio speakers. Put it through your TV, just bang it through everything. And you'll be surprised what little problems come up, and you go back and tweak them. Alright, that's it. 11 mixing mistakes to avoid. Hope that helps you out a little bit. Catch you later.